Well, a very good evening and welcome to this Split Rock Jumping Tour Lugano Diamonds presented series here from Santa Anita Horse Park in California. What a stunning setting this venue is, right on the Santa Anita racetrack infield. The San Gabriel Mountains framing the arena during the day. And of course the racing stands there on the opposite side. But we are bringing you all of this five-star action from the evening each day this week. We kick things off with the $35,000 C Jarvis insurance competition. This is a two-phase special class, and what does that mean? That means that they are going to compete in a full course split into two phases. That phase ends after fence 6. They'll then make quite a sharp turn to fence 7, where the timers will restart, and should they jump clear in phase 1, the placings will go down to faults and time in phase 2. Cian O'Connor is your first starter on course with Iron Man. This one is an 11-year-old gelding. And Cian, of course, hailing from Ireland. He ranks 17th in the world rankings at the moment, and certainly has some really exciting horses in his string. Has gained a few new interesting rides recently. And Ironman came from Leopold van Asten earlier on this year. Was Leopold's ride for the Rolex Grand Prix, and Cian swiftly took over the reins and took this horse to the Longines League of Nations final in Barcelona, and was on the winning 3-Star Nations Cup team at Veja de la Frontera last month with this very ride. He's had 2 top 10 placings with this horse so far. Jumps well through that double combination. A horse with a serious CV of several World Cup legs with Leopold, at the likes of Basel, Mechelen, La Coruña and Oslo as well, just to name a few. Could be a ride for Cian for Saturday night's World Cup leg here at Santa Anita. Clears that final fence. 47.28 is the time on the clock, and crucially clear for Cian O'Connor. Off to a very solid, clear but a fairly steady start for him. Just to get things kicked off for us here this evening. Well, we continue on with the Irish flavour with Max Watchman now and Lexington. Max, of course, as I say, for Ireland with this 10-year-old gelding by Etoulon. We have a really international field in these competitions this week, and a really strong lineup. 4 of the world's top 10 riders are in attendance at Santa Anita Park this week. Just behind Max there, coming around that turn, you can see the Riders Lounge, which right now is absolutely packed out with trainers, riders, owners, a few spectators in there as well, all eager to see how this competition plays out. And young rider Max ranks 48th in the world at the moment in the under 25 ranking list. Goes a little steadier here, down to the double combination, but this horse has absolutely all the scope. Max can place this horse wherever he likes. So former ride of Abdel Said and of Cian O'Connor until June of this year. Coming home then with another pretty solid round here. Sails the last, it is clear, and 44.08 is the time. Takes the lead at this early stage. And somebody then coming forward for the home nation then. We go to Laura Heiter next with HHS Fast Forward. Good few American competitors on your list as well, with all 4 of the US Olympic team in attendance here. It's the first time that all 4 of them have been at a competition together since that Paris Olympic Games. But let's take a little look around this course then with Laura. The first pole goes, unfortunately, at fence 1, and she heads then to the Longines World Cup fence at the upright at 2. Now makes this long left-handed turn to the ESI upright at fence 3 before another left-handed curve to the Lugano Oxa. Short 4 strides there down to the plank, that pink fence. Now it's right-handed over to the far side of the arena to the double at 6, A and B. Finds that a little bit long in there, and now she has to make a turn across the arena over to the Flamingos fence, and the timers have started for phase 2. Goes left-handed once again now down to the far side of the arena, just past the in-gate. And 7 strides to the second double combination there, before she then makes another left-handed turn to the black and gold upright. Curving line once again to the first Oxa, with those green Santa Anita Park poles on top as well. Then this right-handed turn again across the middle of the arena to the split rock jumping tour upright at fence 12 to finish. So 1 pole down, a score of 4 and 45.97 for Laura Heiter. That puts her into 3rd place. Max Watchman leads the way. Continuing on then with the American competitors now, it's Carl King with Odysseus, a horse who is a 13-year-old gelding owned by Patricia Vassi. Kyle ranks 168th in the world at the moment. Good level of consistency required to get to that level, and brings forward Odysseus from their last show being at Spruce Meadows in September. He won his last FEI class with this horse with a double clear in a 2-star meter 45 class. This, of course, 145 as well. But had a run of 4 top 10 finishes in a row. 5 out of their last 6 competitions in the top 10 as well. Comes in a little deep off the short turn there into the double, and down it comes. So a 4 faults. Just at the end of phase 1 there. This, of course, is termed a 2-phase special competition, as even if they have a fence down in phase 1, they can still start into phase 2. A traditional 2-phase competition would see a fault keep them out of phase 2. But Kyle King making some pretty good tight turns back, just practicing some of those lines at this early stage of the week. With Odysseus, clears that final fence, and the time is good. The fastest round we've had so far, 38.33, is on the clock, but 1 pole down. Once again for Kyle King will put him into 3rd place. Two double clears then, and 2 4 faulters so far. Looking very relaxed there, heading out of the ring. This, of course, is a great opportunity for the riders to get their horses used to this environment, used to the lights. Not often we jump outdoors under the lights, and so great for them to get to grips with this arena ahead of that big World Cup class on Saturday. And, of course, the qualifiers that we have through the week. Tomorrow will be a big competition as well, $125,000 prize pot for tomorrow's class, which will kick off once again at 6:30 p.m. Over to Monaco now then. Your next rider is Anastasia Nielsen with Franco 79. Ranks in the top 350 in the world, but crucially on the under 25 list. She is 46th. A solid young rider here with this 11-year-old by Firth of Lawn. Quite a naturally quick horse over the ground there. She finds the distance to fence 2 a little short. Well, this horse was very successful with Mathias Norheden Johansson of Denmark and contested the young rider classes and the European Championships in 2023 with Mathias. But Anastasia won a one-star competition with this horse, one-star Grand Prix in Drammen, and several top 10s for this combination together as well. Well, makes that good turn over to the final fence, and Anastasia Nielsen, young rider from Monaco, clinches the double clear, and 39.14 on the clock will immediately put her into the lead. Well, Connor Swale, always an exciting rider to watch in action. He ranks 10th in the world at the moment. He also leads the Major League Show Jumping Individual Championship standings. And you can only have achieved one of those positions with a great deal of consistency, and Connor is in very exciting position on that world's list and on that Major League circuit. Contested the World Cup of Toronto with Gamble for 18th place. Jumped in Washington as well. And in Traverse City, also has a great string of horses and manages them so well to ensure that each one is targeted at just the right competition. We're on Vital Chance de la Roque here, 15-year-old. Now, a gelding by Diamond de Semi. Connor had a win at Traverse City with this horse, as well as winning a 5-star speed class in Ottawa in the summer. But they have had multiple podium finishes this year already. $15 podium finishes for this pair, in fact, just in this calendar year so far. Coming up and down the levels, but he's always competitive and is giving us a great performance here tonight. Keeping that pace up, just that one fence left to go. Lands and turns very quickly. He is not only getting used to this arena, but practicing all the lines as well. And 33.97 is by far your fastest time so far. And Connor Swale, of course, takes the lead. Good few of these riders have multiple rides coming forward this evening. We do have a starting order of 69 combinations. Connor will be bringing forward Castorano later on this evening. And as I say, 69 in total with several double rides on the cards. Lucy Davis Kennedy goes next with Ben 431. Was owned by the Old Oak Group. Lucy comes here fresh from the Longines League of Nations final. That was her most recent international competition, but she was, of course, an Olympian at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games, part of the silver medal winning team. Also contested the World Equestrian Games in 2014, 3 World Cup finals. Best position coming in 2015 when she was 9th. And Ben, her horse for that League of Nations final back in October of this year. Ben, of course, quite famously with Gerrit Nieberg of Germany earlier on in his career. And so not only does Lucy herself have an incredibly illustrious CV, but the horse has also contested the World Cup final in Leipzig 2022 with Gerrit Nieberg and the European Championships in 2023. Picks up 1 time penalty in the first phase. This horse has actually had a lot of very impressive 5-star results, not only at those European Championships that we just mentioned, but he's contested 5 stars in Riesenbeck, in Aachen, in London. Many, many top competitions. 1 fence down in the second phase as well. He's going to give Lucy Davies-Kennedy a total score of 5 and a second phase time of 50.72. She is into 7th place. Over then to Nicole Walker, representing Canada. She ranks 226th in the world at this stage. Competed at the Royal in Toronto with her string. Placed 6th with Panther JVH in the Brickenden Trophy competition, as well as 9th in a 5-star strength and speed class. She also performed well in the 3-star Grand Prix at Lexington in October with a 3rd place finish with Panther. And has had some top 10 finishes up to the 5-star level, those coming at Spruce Meadows earlier on this year. But certainly getting ever stronger with this 9-year-old Belgian stallion. Good Canadian representation here as well this week. Gets a huge jump over the oxer there. Panther, lovely modern type of horse. Really athletic and powerful as well. Comes home very cleanly around that course, and a good few cheers going up. Some great support here for Nikki Walker. Home and dry with a double clear, and 40.26 is the time on the clock. Another Canadian representative coming next. It's going to be Vanessa Mannix. Vanessa ranks 150th in the world at the moment. She owns this horse, Le Rat. And this one was her ride for the World Cup final this year. Finished 24th there in Riyadh. She competed in the World Cup at Toronto with Kingston for 19th place. Contests the 5-star Grand Prix around the US and Canada with this horse. Had a third place in a 5-star speed class in Ottawa in August of this year, and won a 5-star class at WEF as well in the early part of the year. Last year she was also second in the World Cup leg at Las Vegas with Le Havre. Good turn back for Vanessa. And flies the last with ease as well. 37.98 is going to be Vanessa's time. That puts her into second place, second only to Connor Swale. Time to beat then from Connor Swale is 33.97. That is your leading time at the moment. As we turn from Canada over to Germany now, to Richard Vogel. Fantastic to see Richard in action here in California. He has been having an absolutely unbelievable run of form in the World Cup Series. He won the World Cup of Lyon and also won in Stuttgart as well. Both of those with United Touch. Brings forward this evening Fenyo van Het Keizersbos as the first ride, 9-year-old stallion. But Richard ranks 7th in the world at the moment. Just eases round the corner. He is just keeping the pace up pretty consistently, making those good turns as well to take the most economical lines. Really drives for the big oxer off the corner, sets himself up really well for the double then. Could give Connor Swale a run for his money here then. 33.97 is the time to beat. And now just one fence to go. Richard Vogel then coming in to take the lead. And hasn't quite got there, very close indeed, but 34.1 is going to be his time. He'll now go into second place with Connor's great time of 33.97, still standing at the top of the tree. Carol Wright is your next starter, riding for the USA with Magic Mike. Well, Carol having a rattle at the first fence there, stays in the cups. Not a rider that we've seen on the FEI circuit for a good while. Her last FEI competition was actually just over a year ago in Sacramento in the World Cup there. That being with another of her rides, but she has contested several World Cups in her career, has had 2 down in phase 1. Magic Mike, a 15-year-old gelding who was a ride for Kyle King for some time. But again, this horse's last FEI competition was in 2022, so they've had a bit of a break from the international level. Unfortunately, reaches over that first oxer. Comes home with a total score of 12 then. Going to be 8 in phase 1, 4 in phase 2, and 41.49 is some way off the pace as well. So 11th is going to be Carol Wright's position. Over to Austria now, to Peter Pechenig. Peter with this fantastic ride for him, Annabelle van het Posthuis. Horse that he owns himself. He's just outside the top 250 at the moment. But this horse has been consistent for him across a few good venues this year. Consistent at the Desert International Horse Park, as well as at WEC and in Lexington on the Split Rock Jumping Tour. But he also took this horse to Rome in the summer as well for the 5-star show there, and to the Nations Cup of La Baule as well. This combination finished 4th in the 3-star Grand Prix at Lexington last month, and also 4th in the 4-star Grand Prix at WEC in June, as well as 3rd in the 3-star Grand Prix in Thermal at the Desert International Horse Park in March of this year. Last year he contested the World Cup qualifiers in Fort Worth for 8th, Las Vegas for 9th, and in Lexington as well, all with this very ride. Coming home on the 4, goes wider out to this turn. He knows with a fence down he won't be in contention. And 4 is going to be the final score for Peter Pechenig and Annabelle van het Posthuis. 46.06 on the clock. So again, a little way down the order. Well, Harry Charles is your next starter, of course, hailing from Great Britain. Harry ranks 18th in the world at the moment, but is the leading under-25 rider and has been for about 2 years now. Extremely consistent. Sherlock has been a good ride for him for some time. He finished 3rd in the 5-star Grand Prix in Monterey just about 10 days ago. Coming with Casco Blue, that being Harry's most recent show. Sherlock is Belgian bred and was Harry's ride to win the Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix of London this summer. He also finished 3rd with Sherlock in the World Cup leg at Bordeaux in February, and was the winner in La Coruña. So very consistent combination, very, very good at the World Cup legs. Harry always very competitive and on a pretty good run of form as well. Again, really solid round. Great way to get the week off to a good start. It is, of course, double clear for Harry Charles, but just takes it easy for a time of 47.69. But great opportunity for Harry to give Sherlock a spin around here. Just make sure that he is feeling as happy as possible in this ring. We turn to Portugal now, to Bruno Diniz das Neves. Bruno rides Gucci Mustard, who is a 13-year-old by Balubé du Rouet. Again, a rider who's been getting the miles on the clock over in the US and in Canada recently. Took this horse in the 5-star Grand Prix in Greenwich most recently. Greenwich actually being Bruno's most recent 5-star level competition, his most recent FEI competition, in fact, that being at the end of September. Sadly, just looks for the turn pretty quickly, coming away from the double combination, and that back rail drops. Jumped well at San Juan Capistrano earlier on this year, and this combination contested a few World Cup legs at the back end of last year as well. Fort Worth, Las Vegas and Sacramento as well. Great to see this leg here at Santa Anita. Well, this first Oxer is pretty influential. Well, it looks like Bruno is going to opt to retire here. But he's had a good spin around this competition. Good look around this course. And in fact picks up his canter again. So no, in fact, is going to complete here and jumps that final fence, stops the clock at 77 seconds. That incurs him 34 penalties. Well, Cian O'Connor brings forward his second ride now. This one is Belvedere. Just 8 years old, this one by Billy Congo and owned by Paseo Farms. Cian, of course, 17th in the world rankings. Had a steady double clear with Iron Man earlier on. Just 2 rides for Cian in today's competition. Cian into the second phase, of course. Took a stride out there around the turn into the upright and really steadied for the Oxer. That was quite an influential fence in the National Week that we had here last week. Certainly an eye-catching design, but he does come home with another clear. Very good evening at the office for Cian O'Connor, 36.18 on the clock for him. Well, onwards then to the USA's Lily Keenan now. She is a great competitor, always very consistent. 32nd is her rank in the Longines World Rankings at the moment. She brings forward Argan de Belliard. Argan de Belliard, a 14-year-old gelding who is by My Lord Carthago and owned by Chansonnet Farm. This beautiful horse was Lily's ride for her win in the 5-star Major League Show Jumping Grand Prix of Ottawa back in 2023. Horse that she calls her unicorn. She's won several 5-star Grand Prix in her career, several 5-star classes. Jumped in the World Cup of Toronto as well for 4th with this ride. Picks up a time penalty there in the first phase and is taking quite the outside line over to that upright fence. Also finished at 12th in the American Gold Cup with this ride, just one pole down there. And also contested the Rolex Grand Prix of Le Ball. But just takes the time to finish on a score of 8 and 58.21 on the clock as well, puts Lily Keenan into 14th place. Continuing on with another American rider then, it's Michelle Parker now. With Viva Lunaika Blue. Well, Michelle also contested some of the national classes last week for a couple of good placings. Had a good podium finish with this horse last week, this 10-year-old mare. Well, Viva Lunaika Blue is a ride that Michelle has had for a couple of years now. Also has been competed by Kyle King in its career as well. Her latest show in the international world with this horse was at Del Mar back in August. Working here on the 4, but solidly through the double. Has a good reach over that oxer with the eye-catching green poles. And goes on the split rock upright at a little bit of an angle. She comes home with the 4 and 38.96 is Michelle Parker's time. That goes into 11th place for the American rider. Well, we turn once again to Canada now, to Braden James with Conador. Again, another rider who had a good solid week in the LA National Week last week. Won a class quite convincingly. And Conador has been his horse for a few good competitions at Vancouver at the Thunderbird Show Park there. 6th in a 2-star winning round class. The horse came from Stella Chernoff of Canada, who had plenty of success with this horse at the 2- and 3-star level. Horses by Connor out of a mare by Quidam de Ravel. Well, Connor Swale leads the way in this competition with a double clear and a time of 33.97. Richard Vogel sits second, double clear and a time of 34.10. And Cian O'Connor sits third, once again double clear, and 36.18 on the clock for him. Those are your leading three. It's going to take some beating to go faster than the 33.97. But 38.29 is Braden James's time. Popular, double clear. That goes into 5th place though. And yeah, a solid performance from the Canadian to take that top 10 placing into 5th. Your top 9 are all double clears at this stage. Onwards then to Cali Shot now. We're going back to the USA once again here with Garant. Garant really is an outstanding ride for Cali. Was her ride to win the 5-star Grand Prix of Traverse City back in 2022. And the horse has also won the American Gold Cup with BZ Madden. He's 13 years old now and is by warrant out of a Verdi mare and is owned by Southern Archers LLC. Has a bit of a rub there at quite an early stage, and so Garant just looking to build up the carefulness this evening. Jumped well last week. Was just pipped into 2nd place in the National Grand Prix by James Chalk. Cali again, just keeping that regular rhythm. But certainly not rushing here. She really is taking the opportunity to give Garant a spin under the lights. Of course, those competitions last week were during the daytime. One pole then for Cali Shot, and 44.71 is going to put her into 13th place. Carly Anthony is your next rider on course. Carly rides Heavenly W, for the USA. She's 193rd in the world rankings. Here through to that second phase. Good through the double. Double combination comes along the far side of the arena, so just underneath the scoreboard on the opposite side to the VIP tent. That VIP is quite extensive, spanning the long side of the arena. But it's a great clear, double clear for Carly Anthony. 48.99 on the clock gives her 11th place. It's over to Alessandra Volpi now, with Gypsy Love. Alessandra ranks 182nd. Alessandra Volpi just really using this as an educational round, goes wide out to that double. Well, Alessandra Volpi opts to retire here this evening. Takes a couple of circles. Going to save Gypsy Love for another day. Well, we welcome Elisa Bros now into the ring, riding for the United States. She's 93rd on the FEI jumping under 25 ranking list, and her ride is Vivusenta PS. She's contested some 5 stars at Spruce Meadows with this horse in the past. She's a 9-year-old mare, and came from the Egyptian rider Muda Zayada back in 2022. Elisa having had this ride since early 2023. Couple of top 10s this year for this combination, coming in San Juan Capistrano. Elisa's been a key rider at some of these 2-star level shows. Just hasn't competed this horse too extensively, but she's a regular feature at the likes of Del Mar and at Thermal as well with her other rides. Previously on the Split Rock Jumping Tour as well. Again, the first oxer there is influential. Comes down for Elisa. And so 1 pole down, a score of 4 and 40.25 on the clock. Goes into 14th place for the American rider Elisa Bros. Jessica Springsteen goes next, riding of course for the USA. She ranks 194th in the world at the moment on those Longines World Rankings, and brings forward Naomi van het Keizershof to today's competition. This C. Jarvis Insurance two-phase competition, and of course they're going for $35,000 in the prize pot. Naomi's 11 years old. She's by Cardento, out of a mare by For Pleasure. This combination placed 3rd in a 3-star speed class in Lexington at the beginning of this month, and had a podium finish in the 5-star Cabana Coast qualifier at the Greenwich Major League Show Jumping leg. Also finished solidly in a 3-star Grand Prix in Brussels in the summer, as well as in some competitive classes in Valkenswaard, 2nd in a speed class there. Jessica with quite some pace up here. Gives some encouragement over that wide oxer, and now lands and turns pretty sharpish. It's a very good time. She's going to take the lead here. Jessica Springsteen is your new leader in this C. Jarvis two-phase competition, double clear, and 32.37. She shows us exactly how it's done here tonight. And she is, as I say, your new leader. Connor Swale is pipped into 2nd place. Well, new time to beat there, 32.37. As Samuel Dahan comes into view, riding for Great Britain. Owned and bred by Joanne Sloan Allen, and owned collectively between Joanne and between Samé as well. WKD Aimez-moi, the ride, this 14-year-old mare by Je T'aime Flamenco. This combination placed 3rd in the 5-star Major League Show Jumping Grand Prix in Monterey. Sadly comes here with an early fault, but plenty of opportunity later in the week to make up for that. They won the ClipMyHorse.tv Salva at Hickstead and placed 4th in a 5-star jump-off class at Spruce Meadows as well. Good few podiums for this combination this year alone. Certainly interesting for these horses to get to grips with jumping under the lights, and doing so on this size of arena and this surface. Of course, when WKD Aimez-moi placed on the podium in that 5-star Grand Prix, that was during the daytime on grass. It's quite a different question. And so Samé just opting to retire there. He's done what he wanted to do. Coming here to have a look around the course, have a look around the arena, and up goes the hand. He's going to opt to retire, but has taken that opportunity to have a spin around this arena. I'm sure we'll see him later in the week. Skylar Wyman is up next. Extremely talented young rider, and this is her top ride, Tornado. 10-year-old by Diarado. Skylar ranks 17th in the under 25 world rankings. And she has competed this horse at both the North American Youth Championships and the Young Rider category for 10th individually. In the very same year, she contested this horse in the World Cup final in Riyadh. Got to be quite a unique combination of events. She also contested the World Cup at Washington with Tornado to finish 9th. Unfortunately comes down heading towards the double combination this time. Couple of rattles here, but as ever, it's an educational round to kick the week off. 4 and 46.30 is the score for Skylar Wyman into 19th place. Well, we are certainly not short of Olympic competitors from that Paris Olympic Games this summer, and Erin Ballard is another of them. Erin is also the leading female rider in the world at the moment. She is always so competitive. Has a really interesting group of horses here this week. A couple of her top rides, but some younger ones coming through as well. Elka de la Pomme is her ride here tonight. This, I believe, is Erin's first FEI show with Elka de la Pomme. This 10-year-old mare, who I'm sure you will recognise as a former rider of Ashley Bond. Ashley actually took this horse to try on in October, and now has Erin Ballard in the saddle. She is going pretty speedily around here. What a shame. Just comes down with the upright there. That's perhaps a little result of that great pace. There's another little rattle there. But great to see Erin getting to grips with this new ride, 37.94, and just that one pole down. Going to put Erin into 13th place. We anticipate Cassio Rivetti now, riding for Brazil with Chagall de Tosca. Casio brings forward this HF Farms owned 12-year-old stallion. Got a fairly good pace up here. Casio 329th in the world at the moment. Of course, he's a two-time Olympian from London and Rio, three-time World Equestrian Games rider, and Nations Cup finalist as well from 2013, and 2 European Championships on his record. Again, gets a little underneath the oxer this time, but it certainly is proving to be one of the most influential points on course. Comes home just with that 4 and 36.22 is the time for Casio Rivetti. That's good enough for 13th place. Well, Tiffany Foster is up next for Canada. Ranks 10th in the North American League standings. And she's another of the leading female riders in the world. Ranks second out of female riders. She's a former 5-star Grand Prix rider as well. Won the Major League 5-star Grand Prix earlier on this year. She also finished second in the World Cup in Toronto as her last show out at the Royal with Electrique. Hamilton is tonight's ride, or I ought to say first ride. Yes, Battle Cry coming up later for Tiffany. A very strong list of riders. Doesn't quite go her way through the double there. Taking now some wider lines. She knows that this isn't going to challenge for the lead, but as ever, it's an opportunity to get things going and kick off the week in style. Comes home with 8. 48.90 is the time for Tiffany Foster. So gets her week going. Perhaps not quite the start that she would have liked, but we are ideally aiming for the double clears, but she still has had the opportunity for a good look around this course. As Nael Nassar comes into view. Nael, of course, rides for Egypt and ranks 33rd in the world. Niall brings forward Ivory TCS, of course, this former Daniel Coyle ride. But it would certainly be unfair just to look at her results with Daniel, because she has had some extremely impressive results with Niall as well. Some 5-star podium finishes. She is an 11-year-old mare now. Finished 5th in the Hampton Classic 5-star Grand Prix in September this year. And won a 5-star winning round in Vancouver earlier on as well with Niall. He's had this horse since the beginning of this year now. And securely over that final fence as well, it is double clear for Niall Nassar and Ivory TCS, but 49.27. He's not racing for the time, and gets the solid double clear to kick the week off with this consistent horse. Certainly one to watch for that World Cup that will be taking place on Saturday evening. We bring you that at 8 p.m. local time. Of course, we are in Los Angeles, so that is 8 p.m. Pacific. So work that out from wherever you are joining us from in the world. We look forward to bringing you all of that action live on FEI TV. Don't forget as well, we have tomorrow the qualifying competition for that World Cup leg, $125,000 competition tomorrow evening, beginning at 6:30 p.m. local time. Emmeline Adamic comes next, competing with C. Diam de Sainte-Anne for the USA. Another young rider, just outside the top 500 on the world's under-25 list. Relatively lightly competed for this calendar year. This horse has jumped at Traverse City and Spruce Meadows in terms of international competitions. Down, clips that penultimate fence, sadly. Score is 16 then for Emmeline Adamic and Sidiam de Sainte-Anne. She's into 27th place at this stage. We will be taking a drag break in the middle of this competition. We're just hearing we have about 4 left before we take that midway break. Of course, 69 on the starting order for this evening. Very well attended competition. We actually have a quite extensive list on the competition for tomorrow evening as well, with 75 coming forward for that $125,000 pot. We also bring you the National Welcome Prix on Friday, before that World Cup on Saturday, and the National Grand Prix on Sunday. So leading the way is Jessica Springsteen at this stage with Naomi van Het Kaisershoff. But Chandler Meadows now is coming forward with Calciat EBZ. Working on the 4 here with Calciot. Calciot has had a good bit of success earlier on with Connor Swale. Has actually done 2 World Cups with Connor last year. Also a former ride of Alexis Sokolov, but now owned and ridden by Chandler. Scores 4 in a time of 42.04 in the second phase. That goes into 19th place. Alicia Gadban-Lewis comes next with Beneficial, riding for Canada. Alicia's contested a good few shows on the Split Rock Jumping Tour. Of course, this excellent series that features plenty of 2- and 3-star competitions and culminating now in this 5-star week. Alicia owns this horse herself, this 12-year-old mare. And has primarily contested the 2- and 3-star level competitions. Did some 5 stars at Spruce Meadows. Well, she's got a fairly good pace up here into this second phase. Takes a bit of a hold, though, down this line, on the opposite side of the ring. A rattle at the penultimate, but Alicia Gadban-Lewis is still going strongly. Not going to take the lead, but is going to still put forward a solid double clear. 40.16 is her time, and she's into 8th. Well, McLean Ward is very much one of the key riders in this competition, and certainly one to watch this week. McLean ranks 9th in the world at the moment. He's a 6-time Olympian. Of course, another member of that American team for this summer's Paris Olympic Games for Team Silver. But not only that, he has contested for World Equestrian Games and the World Championships, and plenty of World Cup finals as well. Callas is today's ride, this 16-year-old mare who was his ride for the World Cup final in Omaha in 2023. Goes quite deep into that upright with the water tray underneath. Very steadily round this corner, really is just giving Callas a nice run around here. Gentle start. Well, the score will be 10 for McLeanmore, just picking up some time penalties there as well. He goes into 28th place. Well, Zazu Hoffman comes next, local rider to California. Zazu with Bloom du Plessis. Has a rattle at the first, gets away with it though. Competed this horse in Vancouver for 9th in the Atco Cup. And she's contested plenty of the 2- and 3-star competitions this year, primarily competing at Traverse City and at Vancouver though. 3 top 10 finishes, including 2nd in a 3-star Grand Prix at Traverse City in July. Been a partner for Zazu for some time. But with the fence down, Zazu will not be taking the lead, and as we approach the halfway point, Jessica Springsteen is going to be your leader. Well, just that one pole for Zazu Hoffman then. 4 is the score. 42.72 is the time. Goes into 21st place. Well, we anticipate a short drag break now. We are around about halfway through this competition, which of course is the C. Jarvis Insurance 2-phase special competition, $35,000 on the prize fund. Here is your list at the moment. The leaderboard as it stands is led by Jessica Springsteen with Naomi Van Het Kaisersoff in a time of 32.37. Connor Swale sits second with Vital Chance Della Rock. Time is 33.97. And Richard Vogel sits third with Fenyo Van Het Kaiser's boss. Your top 3, an incredibly impressive list of riders. We take this short break now, but we will be back very shortly to bring you the second half of this C. Jarvis Insurance 2-phase. Welcome back then to this $35,000 C. Jarvis Insurance two-phase competition. We are halfway through. And Jessica Springsteen leads the way with Naomi Van Het Kaisershoff. The time to beat for phase 2 is 32.37 seconds. That is your leading score at this stage. And this man is sitting in third place. It's Richard Vogel. He's in third with Fenjo Van Het Kaisersbos and is up next with Levi Neusser. He ranks 7th in the world, of course. And has had an incredible run of form recently, winning the World Cup leg in Lyon and in Stuttgart. Those coming with United Touch. He really is one of the most exciting riders in the world at the moment with this string of horses. Hails from Germany. And as I say, 2 World Cup leg wins already. He was 15th in Toronto. But I'm sure we'll be eager to get the good result this side of the pond as well. Of course, was an Olympic rider as well from Paris this summer with United Touch. And Levi Neusser, an 8-year-old stallion by Sirocco Blue VDL. Time to beat, as I say, is 32.37. Richard Vogel not a million miles away, but might just not quite get there. Goes on the angle at the final fence, and 34.33 is his time with a double clear. So a great week, a great way to start off the week for Levi Neusser. That goes into 4th place though. Richard sits 3rd and 4th. Well, Richard Vogel, as I say, now sits 3rd and 4th in this competition as we turn to Australia's Harley Brown. Harley rides Unchained 2. Harley has contested World Cups before in 2023 and 2021. Comes now into this second phase on the clear. Also is a former ride of Sophie Siegel until quite recently. Harley comes home then with that double clear, 42.5 on the clock. That goes into 11th place. We go back to the USA now then, to Olivia Cleaver. Olivia brings forward Connor 69. Second horse by Connor. This one out of a contender mare. owned by On the Mark Equestrian. Been contesting some 2- and 3-star Grand Prix recently. Some in Tryon and in Lexington this year so far. This combination finished 7th in the World Cup in Las Vegas last year. That's a good turn around the Lugano Oxer, and she's making the inside line here as well. Over to the C. Jarvis Oxer. Oh, what a shame. Had to go for it though. It's a pretty impressive time to beat, that 32.37. Two fences from home then, but sadly comes down pretty heavily on the penultimate fence. Well, 2 rails down in the end, it's 38.07 and 8 penalties for Olivia Cleaver. Mark Watring is up next. He rides for Puerto Rico. This is his first FEI show of the year, but he has been a 2-time Olympian from Los Angeles in 1984, where the equestrian competitions were actually held here in Santa Anita. He also contested the 2004 Athens Olympic Games and several Pan American and Central American Games as well. Limbosini RC is his ride, and this was his horse for the Central American and Caribbean Games in 2023 for 14th. This has been his top ride for a while, but as I say, it's their first FEI show of 2024 together. Few World Cup legs on their CV in previous years. Well, the score is 8 for Mark Watring. Matches that score of Olivia Cleaver. As the highest ranked rider in the field comes forward. This is Kent Farrington. Kent is a serious competitor all of the time, but he also leads the North American League standings at the moment with 30 points. He was the winner of the leg at Traverse City with Greer. He finished 7th in Washington with Myler. Now comes forward bidding for another win of the season in this World Cup. Tulina is his ride. Of course, he ranks 4th in the world at the moment. Not only is he leading the league standings, but this 10-year-old mare has had some outstanding results recently. He was the winner of the 5-star qualifier at the Major League Show Jumping Show at Traverse City. Also won a 3-star jump-off class in Lexington at the beginning of this month. He finished second in the World Cup leg at Ocala back in March in the previous season. And has had 5-star wins at WEF and Geneva with Tulina, as well as this being the horse with whom he won the Major League 5-star Grand Prix in Toronto last year. She is incredibly consistent, and Kent knows her so well now. Really built up an incredible partnership. Doesn't have a huge number of horses here this week, but often really aims his horses at particular competitions and really selects the events that will suit them the best. And I have no doubt that that is the plan with Tulina this week. Comes to the last on a wider angle and just picks up a little bit of time there. His score will be 6 with that time of 57.89. Kent Farrington is into 29th place. Well, we're on to a few second rides now. It's Anastasia Nielsen up next. Anastasia, of course, hailing from Monaco, and rides My Bravo Boy PS. Anastasia ranks 46th on the list of the world's best under-25 riders. My Bravo Boy, as I say, a 10-year-old stallion who is by Messenger, owned by Nista AG. Anastasia has contested some young rider competitions, actually went to the Youth Nations Cup final. But it is clear, second double clear for her, and 40.05 on the clock. She's into the top 10. Well, Lily Keenan brings forward a second ride now, and this second ride is Kick On. Horse known as Ken at home. Known as Ken, as Lily got him around the time that the Barbie film came out. She ranks 32nd in the world at the moment. She finished second in the Major League 5-star Grand Prix in Greenwich with this ride and won the 5-star Grand Prix of Toronto, both of those on the Major League Show Jumping Series. Picking up some time there in the first phase, but as with her previous ride, Lily's just not in too much of a rush here. Over to that final fence then, again picking up some time. It's 13 for Lily Keenan. Just taking things steady, just really to give Kick On the opportunity to have a good look around the arena in this evening light. Well, Savannah Jenkins is up next for the USA. Savannah's mount is Brasil de Carnaval Santa Rosa. Brasil de Carnaval Santa Rosa is 13 years old, a gelding who is French bred. Placed second in a 2-star Grand Prix at Ocala in June of this year. That was Savannah's first FEI show with this horse. This is only her second, as this was a ride for France's Olivier Perrault. He took this horse to a number of 5-star competitions, including having a win in a 5-star class in Abu Dhabi. She's going pretty quickly here, speeding over to the final fence. Is she going to take the lead? Oof, not quite, but not too far away either. 34.08 will put Savannah Jenkins into third place. Well, another second ride now, this time for Laura Heiter. Once again for the USA. And this time with Triton Hastak. Well, Laura brings forward now this 12-year-old stallion owned once again by HF Farms. Comes here from last FEI show being in Del Mar in August. This horse is actually Swedish bred, bred by Hostak AB is by Cabochon out of a Winning Mood mare. Got a good pace up here down this line with this rather eye-catching green coordination of their look together. 42.11, but it is double clear once again, this time for Laura Heiter. She goes into 13th place. Time to beat is still 32.37. That is the time of Jessica Springsteen. Well, Connor Swale comes next. Well, Castorano is Connor Swale's second ride. At the moment, he sits second with Vital Chance de la Roque. And Castorano, an 11-year-old gelding. Of course, Connor represents Ireland and is now 10th in the world rankings. Castorano won the 5-star WEF Challenge at Wellington this year. Also won the Kentucky Invitational 4-star Grand Prix. He was, of course, also Connor's ride to win the 5-star Major League Show Jumping Grand Prix at Tryon, as well as placing second in the American Gold Cup at Traverse City. Made his Nations Cup debut at the Falsterbo Horse Show and was 5th place in the World Cup leg at Traverse City as well. Also placed 3rd in the 5-star Grand Prix at Spruce Meadows. And he comes home with the double clear, but is saving Castorano here. Not pushing things at all this evening, just a gentle spin around. He already sits second with Vital Chance, and so gets the double clear done in a time of 48.67. Well, following Connor Swale, then we have Callie Shot now. Callie with Ironics. Second ride for Callie, of course. She brought forward Garant earlier on. Remember, if you would like to watch any of this competition back, you can do so in the FEI TV archive at any time at your leisure. You can also, of course, keep up to date with the rest of the week's action on FEI TV, powered by Clip My Horse. We will be bringing you all of the major classes of the week. 6:30 p.m. tomorrow evening, and then 8 p.m. on Saturday evening for that World Cup competition. Callie Shot then with Ironics now. Again, she competed here last week in the LA National Week. She's on this quite early 4. Ironics is a 10-year-old gelding owned by Southern Archers LLC. Well, just one pole down for Callie with Ironics, 44.99, 44.49. She goes into 28th place. Ashley Bond goes next. Oh, well, Ashley coming forward here with Donatello. This, of course, being her Olympic ride. Fantastic combination, previous 5-star Grand Prix winners. She ranks 102nd at the moment in the world rankings. Comes through that double pretty speedily. Donatello really her top ride. Or Donny as he's known. Says a little whoa and just has a rub there. 32.37 is the time to beat. She's pretty close, but not quite close enough. 35.50 for Ashley Bond, but it is double clear. That goes into 6th place. Laura Kraut then goes next for the USA. Laura Kraut, part of that silver medal winning team from this year's Olympic Games with Balutinu. Her ride today, though, is Très Bien Z, keeping with the French theme. She finished 6th in the World Cup at Washington, but has jumped really well there as well, with Très Bien finishing 8th in the 5-star speed final with this 9-year-old gelding. Also placed really well in Dublin in the Minerva Stakes, placing 4th, and had 2 top 10s in Valkenswaard in the 4-star competitions with this ride as well. Horse was a ride for Tim Gredley and Joe Clayton before Laura took over the reins at the beginning of this year. Laura's got a good pace up here, tackling this course very decisively with her 9-year-old. It's 32.37 to beat. Oh, very close. 33.52 for Laura Kraut. That's into 2nd place. Certainly not far away at all, but her previous teammate, Jessica Springsteen, still holds the lead. 32.37 is still the time to beat. Well, we go back to Carly Anthony now, riding, of course, for the USA. She's inside the world's top 200. Well, Carly Anthony then with this 11-year-old gelding by Favourite ASK. Takes that penultimate fence down on the 4 then. She's still pretty close on the time actually as well, but sadly with that pole down that puts her far out of the running. 34.31 for the American rider and into 23rd. Continuing then with another American rider now, it's Kyle King with Sigchiari. This 12-year-old is by Cristallo. Kyle sits 168th in the world at this stage. Here on the 8 with this horse so far. Well, 2 rails for Kyle King gives him a score of 8. He is into 39th. Sean Cassidy is up next with Cool Quartz. Another rider for the USA with the Morningstar Sport Horses owned 12-year-old gelding. Well, Sean is on a run of 4 top 2 placings with this horse. Those all coming at Del Mar in the 2-star competitions, but he had 2 wins and 2 second places in his last FEI start. He did come in August, but a really impressive set of results. Great to get the double clear for this consistent and on-form combination, and 38.88 will put him into 11th place. Well, James Chalk also proved to be consistent last week, having a good win here. He brings forward 1 addition for this evening's competition. This horse is owned by Vanessa Mannix and is a 9-year-old mare by Ottangelo. James, of course, represents Ireland and has some very strong rides here this week. Well, James there, a great angle over that upright. He's not wasting any time here, keeping that pace up, but also taking all of the efficient lines. Some strong combinations still to come in this competition. Oh, what a shame. He was really going for that there. And unfortunately, fence just clipping down. So 34.40 for James Chalk, but he did ease off the pace towards the end. He goes into 25th, though, with the 1 pole down. Well, Niall Nassar now comes forward once again. Posted a good double clear with Ivory TCS, just went quite steady though. And Capital Night Star is his second ride. An 11-year-old by Toulon out of a Darko mare. He owns this one himself. And remember, ranks 33rd in the world at the moment. Just got a little bit stuck in the air there. But again, he's looking to be taking quite a steady approach. Just giving the horse a solid run around here, allowing the horse to really get to grips with this arena, not putting any pressure on. And Capital Night Star looking to be jumping very positively. And again, comes home with a double clear. 2 perfect performances. And once again, just takes things a little bit steady to come home in 13th place. Well, it is a real treat to see this next competitor in action. It's Carl Cook and Caracol de la Roque. What a showman as well as a fantastic sportsman with this eye-catching headgear. Carl, of course, part of that team at the Paris Olympic Games for Team Silver and individual 16th with Caracol de la Roque. This is also his ride for Team Gold at the Pan Am Games in 2023. Also won the 5-star Grand Prix of Rome with Caracol earlier on this year. But he really has had some incredible performances with this ride. This mare is a French-bred horse. A former ride of Julien Epayard for the 2022 World Championships and Nations Cup final Barcelona. Arguably, she's been even more impressive under Carl. He just says that she is one of the fastest horses he has ever ridden. And it's a lovely double clear. He holds the pace together a little bit, though, today for 37.04. He hasn't really been contesting too many big competitions very recently, but you just love to see the smile on this man's face as he comes out of the ring. It was a really lovely round. His last FEI show was in Greenwich. It's only his 4th international competition since the Paris Olympic Games. Does that mean that Carl Cook has an eye on a win here this week? Charlie Jones is up next. Charlie for Great Britain. In the world's top 500 and Capital 6 is his ride, a 13-year-old stallion owned by Morningstar Sport Horses. A little bit of a rattle there. Charlie Jones at 69th in the FEI jumping under 25 ranking. It's a talented young rider. Oh, again another rattle, but he does have some luck on his side here this evening. The luck has now run out through the double combination. Comes home on the score of 4 and 37.32 for Charlie Jones. Well, still leading the way is Jessica Springsteen with that fantastic time in phase 2 of 32.37. We head now to New Zealand's Uma O'Neill as we head into the later stages of this competition. Uma's mount is Luigi d'Eclipse, owned by Uma and Tal Milstein stables. 13-year-old stallion. Oh, a big reach, a big push over to that Oxer. Just couldn't get the distance there. She just really, unfortunately, misjudged the stride around the corner. Did compete in the Olympic Games in Tokyo in 2021. Just as an individual there. And this horse has been a long-term partner for her. She's been competing around Europe quite a bit recently, but it is going to be one pole down for today's result, 42.51. So let's revisit that leaderboard. Jessica Springsteen is your leader with Naomi van Het Kaisershof. Double clear in a time of 32.37. Laura Kraut is in second place with Très Bien Z. Double clear again and a time of 33.52. Connor Swale sits third with Vital Chance de la Roque. A double clear with 33.97 as his time. Savannah Jenkins is fourth and Richard Vogel holds both fifth and sixth. Caitlin Campbell comes now, riding for the USA with Diaco Blue. Caitlin's at 189th in the Longines World Rankings. She had an incredible result recently in Monterrey in Mexico, clinching the win for her Major League show jumping team, the Roadrunners. She'd been involved in that team competition for some time, but it was the first time that she'd been able to jump the gold medal jump off and took the win. That being with Armentos, but Diaco Blue, the ride here today. Comes there a little bit heavily on that penultimate fence. Has been falling quite a few times, but brings the horse back to FEI competition after quite a break with just that one pole down. 39.21 is going to be Caitlin Campbell's time. So she's a little way down our starting list, or down our leaderboard, I ought to say. But certainly plenty to like and could be a combination to watch later in the week. We return to Michelle Parker now with Easy Does It. Riding for the USA. Michelle gave it everything she had with Viva Lunaka Blue, but just clipped a pole in the second phase. Easy Does It is a little more established, a 15-year-old gelding owned by Cross Creek Farms. She finished 7th in a 3-star Grand Prix at San Juan Capistrano back in April, and that was their last FEI show together. However, she performed well in the Lugano Diamonds 2-star Grand Prix at Paso Robles, that Split Rock Jumping Tour show as well at the back end of last year, with some top 5 finishes there. And solidly over the last as well. Again, it's just the one pole for Michelle Parker. 46.20 on the clock. So 42nd is going to be her placing at this stage. Elisa Bros comes next with Consult Picobello Z. This one a 9-year-old gelding, for a couple of 9-year-olds in the field today. She's just outside the world's top 500. But is a highly ranked young rider as well. In fact, sits at 93rd in the list of under 25 riders. Had some good results at Del Mar in the summer. Down over that penultimate fence. Fairly new ride though for Elisa. And a lovely double clear for this combination. 49.29 will put them into 26th place. We should return to McLean Ward then now. Well, McLean, of course, one of the highest ranked riders in the field, 9th in the world. And First Lady is this second ride for him. Just went for a little bit of a steadier ride earlier. Of course, Olympic silver medalist from this summer. This 11-year-old mare is one with whom he's won a speed class at Traverse City in September. Also had a second place in the 5-star McKee International Challenge at Toronto and in the speed final at Washington as well, placing second in both of those. Also won the Prix-Paris in Dinard, but sadly we do have a fence down there, quite a heavy fault there for McLean Ward. Not what we're used to seeing from this combination. Had wins in Rotterdam earlier this year as well as at WEF. Score is 4 then for McLean Ward. 40.26 is his time. Well, Bruno Diniz das Neves of Portugal comes next. Riding Carrios. Didn't quite have the ride he wanted with his earlier horse, but here for a second shot at the competition. Competed around America and Canada in recent months. Great developer of young horses as well. Oh, what a pity. Just a very light touch behind. Takes that pole out. Who's on that inside line over to fence 10, practicing some of these economical turns. He knows that with a pole down he won't challenge for the lead, but certainly can go for it and try to get a good result. It's going to be 4 for Bruno Diniz das Neves. Can certainly make the most of this round to give his 9-year-old a good experience in this ring. It goes into 46th. Well, we're into the final 10 here. As I say, it is a very well attended class with 69 on the starting order. It's Camilo Rueda now with My Boy Blue for Colombia. Just outside the top 500 in the world. And the Colombian coming with the fast turn back. We are, of course, into the second phase here, and it's all about the time and faults from this second phase. Unfortunately, looking at this time, he's not going to take the lead here, as 32.37 is your time to beat. But 37.82 is a perfectly reasonable time for Camilo Rueda. He is into 10th.
two-time World Cup finalist with 50 wins and over 1,400 international starts. Abdul Rahman Al-Rashi looking to better a leading time set by Jessica Springsteen of 32.37 across the field.
Well, Abdul Rahman Al-Raji goes next with Iniesta V. Abdul Rahman, of course, winner of that 5-star Grand Prix in Greenwich. Beating several top riders into the lower placings behind his fantastic round there. He ranks 71st in the world at the moment. Iniesta is owned by the Saudi Arabian Equestrian Federation. Of course, he was an Olympic Games rider, though, with Ventago. But this is a rider who is likely to go for it. And Iniesta really reaches over that Oxa. Oh, what a shame. Just doesn't quite get the height, actually, in the first part of that double. Quite unusual. Just isn't able to keep the impulsion up down that line. He's still going for it here. It is going to really a double clear that you need in order to be challenging, but at 34.38 he wouldn't quite have been quick enough in any case. But that one pole down for Abdul Rahman Al-Raji, still a good result. And the 29th place doesn't really reflect the fact that it is only one pole down, and again, certainly a rider to keep your eye on for later in the week. Or just 7 remain. Samuel Dehaan goes next for Great Britain. Again, another horse owned by Sammy and Joanne Sloan Allen. This one is WKD Toronto. Multiple 5-star Grand Prix winner. But Sammy has had a couple of great weeks of competition down in Mexico, with a couple of good third place finishes. WKD Toronto is an 11-year-old gelding. They had some solid results in that first week in Monterey. Placed second in a 2-star Grand Prix at Gorla Minore in September as well. Also placed second in the ClipMyHorse.tv Trophy at Hickstead in July. And third in a 5-star winning round at Spruce Meadows as well. Well, Sam coming down to that final fence, just working on the 4. Picks up a little bit for time as well. The score will be 6. And Sammy into 50th place. Samantha Buers is your next starter for Canada, the penultimate Canadian competitor. Great to still see quite a few spectators around the ring in the VIP area and also in the rider lounge. Conditions getting a little bit chillier in this California evening. Well, unfortunately, the Lugano Oxer goes down. And Samantha Buers is working quite hard down some of these lines. On that 4 already. Chic D Emma Z is the ride. Third in a 2-star Grand Prix quite recently in Vancouver. And she's primarily competed at Thunderbird Show Park there in Vancouver and at Spruce Meadows this year so far. Well, flies that last fence fairly easily, so it's 4 though for Samantha Buers and a time of 45.09 for her with Chic D Emma Z. A mere 5 combinations to bring you now. And the next will be Alessandra Volpi with Glamour. Alessandra represents the USA and is 182nd in the Longines World Rankings. She's 19th in the FEI Jumping Under 25 ranking. Oh, what a pity. It's the Lugano Oxer again. Lugano Diamonds, of course, fantastic sponsor of the Split Rock Jumping Tour. And you just see that branding there. The VIP area also presented by Lugano. Alessandra herself is a 2-time North American Youth Championships competitor, picking up Team Silver back in 2019. And she also contested the World Cup final of Leipzig in 2022. Coming with her horse, Berlinda. It's had a good few top 10 finishes in Washington and Traverse City. Well, it will just be that one pole for Alessandra Volpi. 39.43 is the time. Let's take another look back then at the leaderboard with just 4 riders still to come. Jessica Springsteen leads the way with Naomi Van Het Kaisershof. Laura Kraut sits in 2nd place with Très Bien Z. And Connor Swale sits 3rd with Vital Chance de la Roque. Peter Pechenig was early to go and is your final competitor in your final Austrian competitor. Bringing forward, it's the Senator 111, one of the older horses in the field. This one is 16 years old and owned by Pechenig Show Jumping. Again, the Lugano Oxer causes problems, and however, the plank there, they had a pretty tricky jump, and kicked out at the plank but the middle rail has actually fallen from the plank, but not the plank itself, and therefore the 4 faults has been removed because you actually pick up 4 penalties for lowering the height of a fence. So if the horse kicks out a central pole, that does not count as a knockdown, as you have not lowered the height of the fence, and so it's still just the 4 for Peter Petschnig, and it's the Senator. So Peter Petschnig then will finish on a score of 4 and will go into 50th place. It's Tiffany Foster next. Tiffany rides Battle Cry now. Was brought forward Hamilton earlier on. Tiffany, the 2nd ranked female rider in the world, just behind Erin Ballard, and she's 24th at the moment in the Longines World Rankings. She was 2nd in Toronto with Electrique. Battle Cry, such a striking looking horse. It's very dark colour. Oh, that was very lucky. Very, very lucky indeed. He is a 10-year-old gelding who is owned by Tiffany Foster, Artisan Farms and Kent Farrington. She stepped this horse down to the 2-star competitions in Vancouver, finishing 6th and 8th after a little run at Spruce Meadows in the 5-star classes. She won a 5-star jump-off class there in the summer with this horse. She also contested the 5 stars in Windsor and in Madrid, as well as at WEF and WEC earlier this year as well. Stands off the double, and unfortunately that causes her to clip a pole. A little bit of a shake of the head there as she comes away from that combination. Well, it will just be a score of 4 then for Tiffany Foster, and Battle Cry 48.61 is going to be her time. Two riders remain then, and Cassio Rivetti is the next. He rides Edessas Vidal 8 for Brazil. Well, Cassio's mount here, Edessas Vidal, is 12 years old, owned by Cassio together with Monarch Farms. Another competitor who comes here from competing in Del Mar most recently. Had a 2nd place in a 2-star jump-off class there, and this extensively competes on this west coast, and tested the World Cup of Las Vegas with this horse for 10th place and 3rd in Sacramento last season. Adds a little extra flourish there, coming away from the double. Down to these last two fences. This is a fairly steady round, but Casio doing well to maintain the balance here with Edesas Vidal throwing in a couple of extra shapes. So it is double clear, 48.87 is going to put them into 25th. Well, the final competitor in this C. Jarvis $35,000 two-phase competition is Skylar Wireman. Skylar brought forward Tornado earlier on, and this time it's Chirolito Z. She is 179th in the Longines World Rankings, but 17th in the under 25 world list. Chirolito's a 13-year-old. Oh, what a pity. First fence goes for Skylar Wireman. And that means that Jessica Springsteen will be the winner tonight. Well, Skylar, such a talented young rider. Good few podiums with this horse already this season. Also performed really well last year in Las Vegas and in San Juan Capistrano as well. Oh, such a shame. Just not quite balanced around the turn. And unfortunately, a few fences dropping now for Skylar with Chirolito, who's really wide here on this turn. Again, just trying to get that balance. Manages that well. Well, coming down to the last, a little bit of a costly round here for Skylar Wireman. And so the final score will be 16 in total. That puts her into 66th place. But that does conclude this competition, this $35,000 C. Jarvis Insurance Special two-phase class. Great way to kick things off for the week in the 5-star action, the first international FEI class of the week. The win goes to Jessica Springsteen with Naomi van Het Kaisershof, double clear, and that brilliant time of 32.37. Laura Kraut takes second spot with Très Bien Z, and Connor Swale will be third on the podium with Vital Chance de la Roque. Savannah Jenkins takes fourth place, and Richard Vogel takes fifth and sixth with his 2 rides. Moving down our leaderboard then, Ashley Bond finishes 7th, Donatello 141, and Keane O'Connor will be 8th with Belvedere. Carl Cook is in 9th place, and Camilo Rueda takes 10th. Plenty of those names are ones that you certainly would keep an eye out for in the rest of the week's action, but also in that World Cup class on Saturday. Tomorrow, the culmination of the action will be the $125,000 Lugano Diamonds 5-star welcome class. Once again, that kicks off at 6:30 p.m. local time. Again, a very well-attended class with 75 coming forward. Friday will bring you the National Welcome Prix as the feature class of the day at around 5 p.m. local time. And then on Saturday, it is, of course, the $400,000 Longines FEI World Cup qualifier presented by Lugano. 8 p.m. local time, all live for you on FEI TV. We look forward to taking you through those competitions, but I will hand over to the arena team. The prize giving ceremony will be taking place in just a moment's time. And I look forward to joining you for all of the action tomorrow. Have a great evening.
Thank you and congratulations once again to our champion, Jessica Springsteen. And Naomi Van Het Kaiseroff will ask our top 3 riders to remount for the victory ride this evening for the C. Jarvis Insurance Two-Phase Special. Thanking all of our top 5 riders for sticking around for the award presentation as well. popping those bottles out there on the podium as we'll welcome those riders back to remount for the victory ride. One more request from our champion now, Naomi Van Hetkaiseroff and Jessica Springsteen. Let's lead them off in the victory ride. Jessica Springsteen, your winner. Laura Kraut, Fabian Z in second. Connor Swell and Ithel Chance de la Roque takes home third. Savannah Jenkins, Fresnel de Carnival Santa Rosa in fourth, and Richard Vogel fifth and sixth, with Venyo Van Hetkaiseroff and Levi Nosoa. But one more time by themselves, your champion Jessica Springsteen and Naomi Van Hetkaiseroff.
Oh, sorry. You're good.
Congratulations to all of our top finishers. Thank you, Jarvis Insurance, for sponsoring this evening. That does